Good day to everyone. We meet again for our FABM1 class. If I'm not mistaken, I left you with a case study to analyze and answer the questions I've provided. Let's start with question 1. Suppose that Halava used her own maintenance crew to build an additional wing on her existing facility. What would be the proper accounting treatment of the following items? For letter A, architect's fees. Can you share your thoughts, Ms. Vilancio?
First, the architect's fee should be capitalized since this is expense will be utilized for the construction of the building that is an asset. Capitalized costs are those costs that contributed to the economic value of the asset. In this case, the payment of the architect's fees is a way to improve the construction of the building, which is an asset. Hence, the cost should be capitalized.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. What about letter B? Cash discounts earned for prompt payment on materials purchased for construction. I would like to hear the opinion of Mr. Del Rosario.
Given the situation where cash discounts are earned for prompt payment on materials purchased for construction, it reduces the number of materials needed for construction. There are two ways to record a cash discount. One is the gross method and the other one is the net method. In the gross method, we record the amount to be discounted and the price of the product that is already discounted, while in the net method, we assume that an individual or entity will pay within the agreed term, which is why we record the discounted price only and not include the price to be discounted.
Good job! Now for letter D, the interest on money borrowed to finance construction. Let's have Ms. Sapi.
The interest on money borrowed to finance construction should be treated as a non-operating expenses. Interest expense is one of the most well-known non-operating expenses. This is due to the fact that they cannot be connected back to operating revenues. Thus, payments that don't generate any operating income should be classified as a non-operating expenses. In addition to that, interest paid to finance construction or purchase of property should be expensed.
Oh, this one is interesting. F. The cost of mistakes made during construction. Mr. Bogay, can you answer this question?
In case that there are mistakes made during construction, it will be included or considered as the repair and maintenance expense of the business since there will be necessary changes or modification to be made. Furthermore, the cost must be treated as expenses cost since the business did not gain any profit or revenue by this mistake done during construction.
What about G? The overhead cost of the maintenance department that includes supervision, depreciation on buildings and equipments of maintenance department shops, heat, light, and power for these shops, and allocations of costs for such items as the cafeteria, medical office, and personnel department. Does anyone want to answer this question? I think Ms. Juanillas has an idea regarding this question.
Overhead expenses are static or fixed expenses that are used for general business functions, such as utilities, supplies, and facility costs. The depreciation on buildings and equipment of maintenance department shops, heat, light, and power for these shops, and allocations of costs for such items as the cafeteria, medical office, and personnel department must be capitalized since these are manufacturing overhead costs. These expenses are associated with the facility where the operations take place. Furthermore, they should be capitalized, knowing that these expenses will still be used to continue the operations of the business in order to generate revenues.
Excellent answer! Now for the last sub-question for the first question, what is the proper accounting treatment to the cost of insurance during construction and the cost of damages or losses on any injuries or losses not covered by insurance? Mr. Lim? The cost of insurance during construction and the cost of damages or losses on any injuries or losses not covered by insurance should be treated as a capitalized cost. This is because the insurance during construction has not been consumed or utilized yet. Furthermore, according to Olson 2020, property taxes and insurance paid to the underlying land during the construction of real estate can be capitalized as part of the cost of the real estate even though they are not incremental direct costs of that construction. Now that we are done with question 1, let us now proceed and answer question 2. For question 2, suppose Halave purchased a new machine. It is clear that the invoice price of the new machine should be capitalized, and it also seems reasonable to capitalize the transportation cost to bring the machine to the facility. Mr. Del Rosario, can you read and answer question 2, letter A?
The new machine is heavier than the old machine it replaced. Consequently, the foundation under the machine has had to be strengthened by the installation of additional steel beams. Should this cost be charged to the building, added to the cost of the machine, or expensed? Why? Based on our opinion, the cost should be charged to the building. First and foremost, if we analyze this question intricately, we can observe that the building is where the installation of additional steel beams takes place. Since it is the building that will be affected by this change in equipment, then it is reasonable if the cost is charged to the building. Furthermore, another reason why we chose to charge it on the building is that by adding steel beams to the building, we're also improving it in one way or another. This improvement in the building will be useful for the time being. Hence, it should be charged to the building.
What a nice insight! What about you, Miss Velancio? Can you answer question 2, letter B? Since the question is quite a lengthy one and it is already presented in the screen, you can just proceed to your answer.
All of these expenses, such as the repair and maintenance expenses, should be capitalized. We firmly believe that it should be capitalized considering that the installation of the machine and the necessary repairs and maintenance that will be of great help and have a future economic value to the business. Its value will only depreciate over time, but it will still be useful in the operation of the business. Regardless of how long the installation took place and the cost of these operations, it is never wrong to invest in your business for it to continue to grow.
For letter C, kindly answer the question, Ms. Juanillas. In addition to the invoice price and transportation, it was necessary to pay a state sales tax on purchasing the machine. Is this part of the machine's cost? If yes, why?
It should be part of machine's cost. However, it must be recorded as two separate accounts in the ledger and journal. Although the state sales tax is required on purchasing the machine and it is included in the amount that the customer must pay, it is also important that the accountants, bookkeepers, and such provide accurate and valid information as much as possible. By being meticulous and adapting this habit will help the business achieve good accounting and significantly reduce any conflicts that may arise by being transparent.
Last but not least, can you answer the last letter D, Mr. Lim? Once again, since it is a lengthy question and the question is already presented on the screen, you can just state your answer. The difference should be treated as a reduction in the cost of the new machine. Treating it as a reduction in the cost would be a much appropriate option rather than the latter one, considering that reducing the cost of the new machine and trading the old one is a much more significant financial event to the business entity, especially in preparing and making financial statements. Moreover, it is better to put an emphasis that we are gaining an asset and reducing its cost by trading the old machine rather than emphasizing a gain on the disposal of the old one.